All right, so the eDossier project started about 4 years ago in Bloomington with the intent that we were really trying to replace the paper process. All right, so what I want to talk to you about today is to give you some idea. All of you should be familiar at some level with the dossier checklist. This is in the P&T guidelines. You may, if you went up for promotion and tenure as an assistant, you're familiar with this at some level. Now, granted, this does change. It gets revisited yearly, so you might want to just check what the current guidelines are at the Vice Provost's website. But we were working from this perspective. And what we've done in eDossier is to try to provide support for both our candidates and for the review bodies along the way. Now, I'm going to assume that everyone in here is coming from the candidate side. That was my assumption coming in here, and I won't bore you with the details of being a reviewer. Although, have any of you served as a reviewer for cases in your home department's assistants going up for promotion? So you may have had some exposure as a reviewer to eDossier. If you haven't, that's okay. But the system was designed really along two ideas. One was ease of use, that this is supposed to be really intuitive for you as a candidate to engage with. You should not require any formal training, and in fact, we've not offered any formal training, and we've found now in use for 2 years. We did a pilot study, then we rolled it out to the campus. We're in the midst this year of rolling it out to all the campuses, is that we've really not needed from the candidate side any specialized training at all to use eDossier. So it met that criteria. Also that it was useful, that you could access it anywhere, anytime. It was going to mimic the checklist, as you'll see. And from a useful perspective, you're not stuck just submitting Microsoft Office documents or PDF files. You can, as you see fit and as is appropriate for your case, you can submit other things. We are witnessing, for example, candidates are including videos of themselves teaching. We have some candidates that are going up based on teaching cases or their aspect of their dossier in which they want to show the reviewers, this is how I manage a large section. These are some of the innovative techniques that I'm using. And they're actually including video. As you can imagine, some of our faculty from the School of Music includes audio, right? Tracks and different things that they have. From our creative areas with our theater, drama, lighting. So Word documents just don't really completely cut it for them. Some of our people in the studio arts, for example, the ability to really share high fidelity images, three-dimensional imaging, all sorts of things that really what eDossier was intended to do was to allow you to make your case the best way possible relative to the kind of research and creative activity, teaching, and service you do. And so I think we're really doing well. Our candidates are really grabbing onto that, and we're seeing more and more of that being used. You may have some things, some of you may have blogs that you run or websites that you manage. You can share those, obviously, in here as well. What you'll see when you go to eDossier is, and I'm going to show you a couple things, you will log in through one.iu, right? How many of you have gone to one.iu? It replaced OneStart, right? And if you go there, all you do, type in eDossier, and it's going to bring you right to eDossier. But let me just show you what this screen looks like when you get there, all right? Here's our eDossier system. You'll start, it uses our regular CAS login, so there's no special login. On this one.iu page, there are help resources. If you haven't seen them yet, they're very useful. They're very brief. The one that you'd be interested in is Help Guide for Candidates and Delegates. Very short and simple. I wrote them, so I hope you like them. But really intended to help you get started, to build your dossier, and so on. And some of the very cool features that we have embedded in eDossier. And I'll speak to one of them because I know that the candidates really like this. You may recall, and when you were building your previous case, that oftentimes when you were writing your statements, you wanted to point the reader, the reviewer, to something else in your dossier. And you would say, well, I wrote such and such a paper, and of course, someplace in the paper binder, that paper was buried in there, and you hope that they would go and look at it. We have created a feature within eDossier that from within any document that you have, I'm referring to your statement, you can point electronically to another place in your electronic dossier. So as the reviewer is reading your statement, you can have a hot link, and it will bring them right to that location where you want to point them to a teaching artifact or a research artifact or whatever artifact you want to point them to. It makes it really easy to do so, and that's but one feature. How many of you are Netflix users? Anybody? Right? You know how you can reorder your movies that you've got in your queue? You can do that in eDossier. You can just drag your files up and down. You want to reorder the presentation of your materials in a folder or subfolder, you can do so. So we've created, embedded some of these kind of cool features that are written about in the help guide. The help guide is about 3 or 4 pages long. We're not trying to bury you with things, but just to get you so that you can use it. I think you'll find it very helpful. Now, I would love to actually go into eDossier and show you this live. I didn't realize, I didn't think about it until this morning when I did it. I can actually see all the cases on campus, and some of those are live cases. They are in process for 15, 16. Of course, our promotion and tenure process is highly confidential, including who is actually even going up. So I can't go into my account and show you this right now. If I did, but that's okay, that's good. So instead, what I want to do though is talk to you about some things. I'm going to show you some screen grabs so you get a sense of this. From the candidate side, the checklist and its main and subfolders are visible to you. And you're going to have this. If you decide you're going up for promotion to full, a dossier will be created for you, at which point when you log in, you'll be able to start populating your dossier. Before submission and throughout the process, you can designate someone as a delegate. Some of us will have staff people that may help upload files. You may have a colleague in your department that is serving as a mentor, and you want them to see and comment and help you organize your dossier before submission, okay? You will name them as a delegate. You can do that from within eDossier. It's very simple. You just use their username, their network username. You may also designate, and there's a difference between delegates and guests, and I want to point that out here. Delegates can view and or assist in uploading materials. That's why I say it's nice for a staff person. You can also designate someone as a guest. They can only view your materials. All right, so this could be your colleague. They're not going to upload files for you, but you want them to see things. The guest feature, by the way, we also have it for when your case is all done and you've been promoted to full, and your junior colleague comes to you and says, I want to see your stuff. You can name them a guest, and they can go in and see your dossier. So that's another way that we allow. You can ask other colleagues that have gone through this process as well. When you go to submit your dossier, as you know, in the paper process, your department chair is going to look at everything. You have all the stuff that you need. It's organized the way it should be. And they literally sign a sheet and the checklist. They sign off on it. We have implemented this electronically. So when you submit it, it will go to your chair first, and they will do what they normally do. And if they sign off, it's an electronic sign off, your dossier then is formally entered into the process. Okay, and you're good to go. Once they sign off, your dossier is frozen. Okay, it is frozen. What you created at that time that was signed off on is frozen. Now don't get all nervous, because things happen from when you submit and it starts the process to when the decision is made. You might have new articles accepted, you may have submitted things, maybe you won a teaching award, you won the Nobel Prize, who knows what happened, right? When your dossier is formally submitted, your delegate permissions expire. We don't want people uploading, trying to upload files into your stuff. but a supplemental folder is automatically created. And it is through this folder that in the process for the whole year, you can continue to add new materials. So we have a supplemental folder. I'll talk a little bit more about that. That is available to you. So don't think when I say frozen that you can't add things. You can add things, but we use this supplemental folder as a mechanism to do so. And I can happily bore you with all the reasons we did it that way. If you want to go have lunch sometime, but I'm not going to bore you here. All right, there's a lot of reasons we took that tack, both policy and best practice. Here is what the dossier looks like. And what I'm showing you here, over on this side, literally, is the checklist. We have implemented the checklist electronically. We have the general, which has your school and departmental criteria, your statements, your list of external reviewers that were invited to review your case, right? All that stuff, nothing new. Their research and creative activity area, this is nothing. This is, if you go read the guidelines, this is nothing new. Your teaching materials and service/engagement, service engagement. Service to your department, your school, the campus, external bodies, and so on, right? You literally will populate these folders with your materials, right? Whatever kind of materials. As I said, they could be documents, they can be video, they can be whatever file format, data file format you want to use. Notice that the candidate and Massey, this is already pre-pop, says my department, school, what am I, the dossier type, what am I seeking, right? The area of excellence, right? Again, you would negotiate, you talk to your department chair about that. What are you going up on? Balance-based teaching services, right? So we have this, and you literally can drag and drop. How many of you have used, Encores at some point, or Canvas, right? Uploading files, dragging and dropping them, same thing, right? There's nothing, again, it should be very intuitive. This submit button becomes visible only when certain criteria in the general folder have met. This submit button only becomes visible when certain criteria in the general folder have been met. I repeated that because that is a question we get all the time. I don't see the submit button, okay? In the general folder, you must have uploaded at least one file for your candidate statement. And for Bloomington, you must upload your CV and your school and departmental criteria. So those three subfolders have to have at least one file in them, okay? Now, your department chair may kick it back to you if you don't have the other two, the external reviewers, okay? Once you put one file in each of those three folders, the submit button is available to you. I strongly advise not submitting it if you're not ready to submit it, but it is available to do it, okay? All right, pretty straightforward. This is also important to know. There is a folder that is what I call the restricted folder. This is not available electronically to you as a candidate. In this folder is where the review bodies are recording the votes at whatever level, department, school, campus committee, right, dean, recording the votes and uploading the evaluative letters, okay? You cannot see this electronically. When you go log into your dossier come January and you've submitted in August, you will not see this. Now, the one thing I want to have you feel comfortable with is, according to policy, you of course can ask to see the letters. You of course can ask to know what the votes were at any level. We don't allow you to do it electronically, and the reason was we found in building the system, different schools, different departments, now different campuses, manage that process differently. In the Kelley School of Business, where Dan Lee and I are, The dean's office, if you want to see letters at any level, you go and you meet with the associate dean, and he or she pulls the letters out, you sit down, you can look at them, talk about them, and so on. We found that it was managed different, so we didn't want to impose a structure on everybody that didn't fit everybody. The other reason is this is a stressful enough process as it is, particularly for our assistant professors. We do not want you going in every day, logging in to see, did somebody record a vote or upload a letter? So if I make it a little harder for you to get to them, right, you gotta go see your associate dean or whatever, then you can spend time doing the things that you really need to be doing, okay? I mean, I think we know that. We'd all be like logging in daily. All right, so but I point this out because I guarantee somebody in this room is gonna get in this process and they're gonna say, I can't see my letters. And then the rest of you can say, well, Ann told you that you wouldn't be able to. All right, so just be aware of that. Routing, I just bring this up. This is as a candidate, you also don't need to worry about this. The dossier itself is what I refer to as a repository, but what makes this system really, eDossier, really different and really hum, and that where it is really, UITS will say this is the most complex application that we have at IU. The logic for dossiers is embedded in the routing. As most of you know, this is an iterative process. You add materials, you want the previous levels to look at new materials. A vote goes bad at one level, we want that level to look at new materials. This is not a straightforward process. It has loops in it. The routing has all the logic associated with that. There's levels, who can see your dossier? Who has the right to see your dossier? Not everybody has the right to see your dossier. As an associate professor, you don't see the promotion to poll cases. Assistants do not see any cases, right? So we manage access and we manage the routing. And there's all sorts of stuff I won't bore you with, but that's why I say as a candidate, you don't need to worry about it. You don't set it up, just let it hum along, okay? Just to give you, and I'll share this file, but I just want to point out a couple of things here. You submit your dossier, your department chair will review the checklist. If they're not satisfied, they're going to send it back to you electronically. You'll get a note saying, hey, they didn't sign off on it. If your chair signs off, it then goes into the department, it goes to the first level of review. I will point out, once it enters that point, that's when that supplemental folder becomes available to you. So from that second, you can start adding materials if something good has happened, right? So I point that out. The reviewers, they can start to see things, and this process continues from the department to the school committee to your dean to the campus, etc. Right? But I just point that out in terms of you kind of being aware of that formal submission. And again, as I said before, you can add documents at any time once your dossier is formally entered into the process. They will be date and time stamped, and they're used in that routing and revisiting of cases and so on. And then these notifications, you don't have to worry. You add a document, you don't have to run around telling your department chair that you added the document or your dean that the document was added. Notifications are sent, depending on where the dossier is in the process, to people that need to know. So we take that, you don't have to worry about that. I will say, I've done also in Tom Guerin's office when I was there, workshops on kind of preparing the cases for promotion to full. And I know that some of those workshops are still continuing out of the office, but I'd be happy to take any questions about that. This is really about the system, but thinking about an associate case versus an assistant case, there are some differences. So with that, I will stop. I hope I didn't take too much time. I will give you plenty of time.
So hi everybody, I'm Beth Gazley. I'm in the public affairs end of the School of Public and Environmental Affairs. And I guess I'll introduce myself by saying, since Ann was the developer of the system, I'm here to talk to you about as a user of the system. And I'm feeling just a tad presumptuous about being up here because I'm actually in the promotion process. So,
We should have pulled her case up.
right, I'm going to send you an email a month or two from now saying, do as I say, not as I do. But so far, it's unanimously and successfully out of my unit in the hands of the campus tenure promotion. So, let me tell you also, I was one of the focus groups early on when Anne was developing this. So, and I remember at the time having the concerns everybody had about the e-dossier system, particularly was it going to be able to accommodate all kinds of material that isn't necessarily material that can easily be put into digital form. I loved the e-dossier system, and I'm going to give you a few tips that I just think are tips about the promotion process generally, things I think are quite different when you're going up from promotion to full compared to associate. But I also want to give you some tips about the e-dossier system, but I'll tell you right up front, I thought it worked like a charm. But I did hear from some of my junior colleagues at SPEA who were going up for promotion to associate and tenure that they had a few more challenges. All I can say is there are probably people who were not dealing with those paper systems. It's just so much better. But anyway, this is what I want to talk about. First of all, I'd like to start by just recalling back to sitting as a very junior professor in a room somewhere with Mike Hamburger, who's then the campus promotion tenure committee chair. Mike had 10 tips for getting to promotion and tenure, and I remember a few of them. I actually had them practically laminated, taped to my computer for some years. One of them was don't do it alone. Are we good? I'm just going to be okay. Well, it's either that or stairs. Yeah, one of them was don't do it alone. Another was get good advice, and then the one that I always loved was get good advice, but don't believe everything you do either, right? And I would say those things still are important to think about as you're going up for promotion to full professor. But if I were to write down these same pieces of advice, I might add the following, or insert the following. First of all, the process is definitely less stressful. At least I found it. So the stakes are lower. There's no up or out, right? You choose when you go up, so there's a greater sense of kind of self-efficacy about the process. I'm not being pushed into something I don't think maybe I'm ready for. I made the choice, okay? You can submit with additional evidence if you're not successful the first time, and even though nobody wants to go there, and my associate dean told me, oh, we really don't want to go there, Beth, because that's, a dozen external letter reviewers that we have to go back to and say, would you do this again a year from now? On the other hand, I thought, why not? It's an option that's available to me. I want that option if I can get that option. Secondly, the process is definitely simpler, particularly with these mini dossiers, and as I said, I found it much less labor intensive, much less, fractional less time compared to the paper dossier. Third is that the process, though, I think is potentially less transparent, and this really, I think, about promotion and tenure guidelines, the difference between being an assistant going to associate, being an associate going to full. Using my own unit's criteria for promotion to associate versus promotion to full, if you were to put it down to kind of two words, it would be impact rather than trajectory. At the level of promotion to full professor, we really have to be demonstrating impact. And if you think about that, that means you're no longer showing promise, you're showing results, right? So you have to be, I think one of my really important pieces of advice is you really do have to be honest with yourself about whether you're ready and whether you have that evidence to demonstrate you're ready. In my case, it had been 5 years since I submitted my dossier for tenure, 4 years as professor in rank at the associate level. So I could count the full 5 years. That's where I was working towards promotion to full professor. But that's not a lot of time on the clock to produce productive materials. And my units, I wrote them down somewhere here. Yeah, my units criteria. I went up for excellence in research. International reputation as a first-class productive scholar. SPEA has high standards. International, reputation, first-class, productive, right? Those are 4 distinct elements that I have to provide some evidence to back those things up. So I did have to be honest with myself about the process, and I did have to kind of play devil's advocate with myself, and then ask some other people to play devil's advocate with my record. And I knew because I was going to be going up relatively fairly quickly after the promotion and tenure that I was probably not going to look as productive on paper in terms of article count. So I was going to have to be sure that I was emphasizing quality. It wasn't just a quantitative thing. I was really emphasizing the quality of my work through citation counts, through reputation. That takes some effort to pull that material together. This is not just going to scholar.google. You can, but I had to do a lot of other things. And I had to think very, very carefully about who I wanted to nominate for my external letters. Because these were going to be people that were going to have to be the ones who are attesting to the quality and to the reputation of my work. So understand guidelines and understand how to make the most of those guidelines. Okay. Fourth is try to start as early as possible, deciding in what area your case is going to be. That is because you may not have the kind of support, structured support, kind of formal mentoring, all the other things that you have when you're an assistant professor. But certainly, if you know you're going to be making your case in one particular area, that is still your it gives you the opportunity to say to somebody, I can't do that because research is my focus. I can't do that because teaching is my focus. Okay, this is where my focus is. So it does give you a little bit of opportunity to communicate to others maybe why you can't do things. And then still and always, I'd say, don't go it alone. And so again, you don't have necessarily the structural support. You don't necessarily have the kind of formal mentoring or formal backup, but you can still find it if you want it. And I really think that getting help from senior faculty, being willing to share your dossier, should all be options that you want to exercise. I tried. There were 3 of us going up for promotion school together this year. Everything went smoothly for all 3 of us, and I tried to get the other 2 to share dossiers, and just but they weren't going to do it. But I wish they had, because I think we can all learn from one another, and this part of SPEA. SPEA is very supportive and non-competitive culture to do that as well. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to 4 tips on using the e-dossier system that I found important. First of all, fill every folder and subfolder with something. Okay, it may mean you're actually duplicating in some areas. If you've written a very comprehensive and well-written personal statement, hopefully you've covered a lot of ground. But you don't want your e-dossier to look like there are gaps, perceived gaps, because obviously you have that evidence is somewhere else. So you may copy and paste a little bit, you may duplicate a little bit, but put the material where people are going to expect to look. Okay. Secondly, start every section with a read-me first or a summary statement. The subsections too. This is not something I realized, but my assistant team said you might want to consider doing this. And essentially, what you're doing there is you're providing a roadmap for everyone. Not everybody's going to get to the subsections. In fact, if I could embed an a digital $20 bill in like the very last subsection, the teaching section, I probably would, just to see if somebody actually got there, right? So, let me do that. Okay, all done, send your dissertation, put one up on the bookshelf. Anyway, but not everybody's going to get to the end. But if they do, you want to give them a clear roadmap on how to get there, and you want to give them a clear roadmap on how to get to the stuff that you think is important as well, right? So a summary statement saying, okay, this is what I have in this section of the dossier can be very, very helpful to the reader. Third, don't overlook that opportunity to direct the reader where you want the reader to go. You know what you're basing your case on. You know where the evidence is that you think is the most important evidence. And if you make that case only in a personal statement, you're close to the finish line, but you don't know where that reader's going to go, and you don't know if that reader's going to find everything you want them to find. So again, this is something I didn't do, but I wish I had done it. Some of my more clever junior faculty, I've seen about half a dozen dossiers, because I vote on the promotion and tenure cases, and they embedded a lot of hyperlinks and hot links in their personal statements. This is Ann mentioned a lot. So that you essentially can almost use the personal statement as a way to get somebody to everything within that e-dossier. And I can tell you, probably a lot of your colleagues are not getting much further than personal statement, but there are going to be some who won't. So you might as well give them the best chance possible of finding that material that you think is important. Okay. Number 4, be organized. Look at that e-dossier set up early in your associate professor years. Your years you probably already have. And certainly, I definitely under Tom's leadership, I felt as I was going into the associate professor years, that I was getting a lot of really good guidance on the way about where I should do things, when I should do them, and that sort of thing. So if you're looking at that, kind of have that map of the eDossier system embedded in your mind as you're going along. You can set up a duplicate file system on your hard drive for creating all that material as you're going along through your associate professor years. And all you have to do is upload it. It's there, waiting to be uploaded at the right time. Okay. So I didn't have the advantage of doing that as early as you all did, since I'm in the pre-electronic dossier stage. But I do now, and I think everybody should take advantage of that. Let me see. I think that's all I have, and I wanted to make this as brief as possible so we could open this up for questions. So, Suzanne,
okay. Yeah, good. You can sit right over here. I will. Can you show us your an example summary or roadmap, or is that too?
email me, and I'd be happy to send you anything you want to say.
Okay, feel free.
I think along those lines, could we go back to that picture on your slides of the different categories set up in eDossier, and then you're talking about putting a README file in each category, every category, so like 25 README files?
That's right. Yeah, well, you could have, in one of those subsections, you could have, goodness, 40 items, student course evaluations. But the first item in there should be a summary of these course evaluations, where you're reflecting on them.
So,
right?
Separate from the
describing
statement.
what's there.
Okay.
So don't make the reader look through 40 course evaluations to get a sense of what the quality is. Interpret them and put that document at the beginning.
So for each of those categories, you actually have a README file.
Almost everyone.
And I think that's a great idea. In some of the categories, you may not, like we're just listing out the publications.
Right. I mean, your Vita, you obviously don't need a README file.
No, yeah, you don't need a README file in the general.
No.
category.
Yeah, but sometimes it was very brief. This section includes 3 documents. They are important because.
So even for like copies of publications, you had a README file there?
I might have. I have to double check on that in the pubs. Yeah, I think I did because I had my pubs in more than one place.
But I think that's what Beth was also pointing out, is that you can use your statements, that if you want to, as you're doing your research statement, for example, and you're talking about streams of research that you've been developing, within your statement, you can point from that document directly into your publications and kind of leverage that feature within eDossier. So you may, for some of the subfolders, you may not need a summary document.
Right. This is actually, I should mention, this is where my associate dean was really helpful, because I sat down with her, and she sort of said, she sort of was filtering this, and she sort of said, okay, this is what a reader is thinking when I'm walking through this. And that's where she said, no, you really have to fill those holes. And where she said, maybe you should put another README first document here. You don't have one, but maybe you should put one here. So she was, I was moving pretty fast. There were some corners I wanted to cut, and she said, maybe you should go.
So she kind of worked with you through the whole process.
Yeah. And that's her job, is to make every single one of these cases successful.
And think about, and I think that's a good point, remember your associate dean is seeing a lot of cases. And so they're seeing why did we want to see the old paper dossiers, take a look at some? Because we wanted to see what worked, what didn't work. And so talking to people, and you guys made service reviewers, as you did, you were seeing what's working for the P&T cases. As your experience, what's working for you as a reviewer, take that information, and that's what Beth is saying, and then leverage it for the production of your own promotion.
So I have a question. Is it possible that I will not have access to my own dossier system as a candidate?
We should have access.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard from other candidates in my school both last year and this year that they do not have access to materials.
At this point, we are moving towards having a dossier automatically created for every tenure track faculty, and actually we're using it for NTTs as well. We aren't at that point yet. So if you want a dossier created, you should make a request and then it can be created. So they're not automatically, we didn't have the resource to do that, especially as we're rolling out to all the other campuses in the system. So if you want a dossier, if you've not said that I'm formally going up, if you say you're formally going up, that you get put on the list and it gets created. But if you want one created, they can have one. They'll create one for you.
Is that what you're asking?
It's a variation of what I'm asking, but this is very useful to know. So how do I ask for that?
Ask your dean's office, and then they will interface with the vice provost's office, and the functional staff down there will create one for you.
So my question actually was slightly different because I heard both this year and last year from tenure that were going up for promotion and tenure. This year from faculty member was going up for promotion, that they did not have access to their own e-dossier to submit materials. They were depending on someone else that worked at the school for that. Yeah, I know, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the list for PNT or promotion, I mean, formally you've said I'm going up, then a dossier is created for you and you can log into it. So I'm not quite sure why they're saying.
It's the non-tenure line faculty. They're not in the system yet. And I have some administrative responsibility.
Two faculty members were last year going up for tenure and promotion, and they got tenure and promotion, and they mentioned it last year. And this year I'm talking about the faculty member going up for full. It's in the system, and I mean, all the process, right?
And he,
of course, is going to put professor on the tenure line, and he's associate professor, and he could not upload his own materials.
He had a dossier, but he couldn't upload his own materials. He could see the dossier.
I did not ask him this question.
Well, I think we can take this offline because this is, I mean, yeah, I mean, something's not working there.
but then we have a lot of really terrific non-tenure line faculty with SPEA who get promoted from lecturer to, yeah, I understand. They get promoted from lecturer to senior lecturer, and they are not in the system, unfortunately.
They will be this coming year.
I have two questions. One is, as far as I know, the official list is only created in March. That would relate, because I would like to know how this works with that. Does it make sense to contact you now and then now?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, just we don't have it. We don't automatically create dossiers yet. Okay, that's in the queue for development. So if you want a dossier, request a dossier, ask your associate dean, they can contact the vice provost's office, and the dossier will be created for you. And then you can start playing with it.
But that doesn't mean the day you start to write your personal statement or
No.
anything, right? You know, this does move fast. I'll tell you another thing. You are 1 month behind, if I remember right, the assistant professor. So everything they do, you'll be a month later. So they're submitting their full dossier in June, you're submitting in July, so on and so forth. That means the decisions are delayed a little bit too. But I remember, come the holidays, that it's going to be creeping up on me pretty fast. So my goal was to have everything ready to upload in February because I had to put a short dossier together for the external review letters, and that goes out quick, right? So be prepared.
Is this one also on the
Yes, they use the dossier system too.
The external reviewers do not yet have direct access to your dossier.
Oh.
We're working on that. That is an IU security issue.
Oh, we probably send them a PDF.
Yeah, you send your school, we basically at this point said, however you provide materials to the external reviewers, do so. Now, their letters do get uploaded into eDossier, so they are in there, but we don't give them direct access yet, so we are working on that.
So this is an expansion on that really quick. I'm taking Vivian's question from the chat. And so she said, once someone has said that they're going up in 2016, in this case, when does the dossier become available? So how long is the time between
When your
saying
school
you're going up?
submits the request to the vice provost's office, and the functional support staff will press a button and do it.
So this is a matter of days within the
Yeah,
request.
this is, yeah,
Okay.
yep, it's very, very quick. There's nothing, it's just, we just need to know who needs a dossier,
Okay.
essentially. So it's pretty quick. Usually the delay is at the school level.
What do you do with publications that you don't have electronic? I have a new book that's out, but the only version that I have electronically is the one that was before proofreading.
We do just send the book along in the traditional format, just the same way. I mean,
That's the one that drove me crazy too. I took all the stupid little Adobe Post-it notes out of the proofread version of that thing because I didn't want anything to, and it doesn't, you get the little guideline, marks in the margins and stuff. It doesn't look quite so nice, right? But it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you can submit an electronic version, but if you don't have it or aren't happy submitting that, you just send your hard copy along, just as we've always done.
Yeah, that was the only one, because the publisher wouldn't send me a post copy. I did post proofread
I
version.
can't send it to proofs because the proofs are horrible. They messed up so much that we actually had
Then ask the
Send-
publisher for the final, if they have it, because they have to print it. So they just need to send you a PDF for the final version.
And if they don't, just send the book. This is not a showstopper. It's not intended to be so.
I hear you.
So are there some uniform dates when all the schools do the external reviewer deadlines? And I guess the way that they're submitting the materials for external reviews, is that uniform? Or?
No. The schools manage that. Some schools, the associate deans or dean's office will send out the request to the external reviewers. Some, the department chair does it. So it's kind of managing. The timing is somewhat fluid, only fluid to the point that we're all on the same timeline for when the cases have to move from department to your internal process within your school to your dean to the campus. So those are hard deadlines. But how your unit or school manages engaging the external reviewers or what materials get sent or how they get sent. I've seen some schools will put it up on a box server and give external reviewers access. Some send printed copies FedEx, some send a CD. So that's really local practice.
We're a big unit, and we had about 3 or 4 page long list of deadlines, beginning with candidate submits me for nomination to the final board of trustees decision. And you should be able to get that from your school, and those are hard and fast.
Yeah, there are. I mean, you should. Yeah,
those are hard and fast
Right.
deadlines. That
your
you need to
school
know
is
about.
working with those deadlines. So your dean's office knows when they need to send cases down to Ryan Hall, and then your dean's office will work backwards down to the department level. So those dates, they have those dates.
This is a very, very initial question, I would say, of the whole process. Beth, you mentioned you choose when you go up. And I received all kinds of information on that. How do you decide on when to go up? I think it's an ongoing discussion. A smart dean is signaling to faculty when they think that person is ready to start thinking about it. Your annual reviews, you should be having that conversation, right? So I was given a lot of green lights. Yeah, you're ready to start thinking about this. I decided it was going to be this year and not next year. If I had been getting any different information, I would have made a different decision. Yeah. So this is something that I think should be really transparent part of the process, and this is definitely an area where you don't go it alone. There should be some agreement.
And
on the other hand, can I just add one thing? On the other hand, don't make it somebody else's decision entirely, because
That's the information.
you can end up with a very, very conservative, very cautious dean or associate dean,
says, oh, let's just be sure about this, right? And that you can make the process go on longer than you think it should go on, right? So there's,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think, and SPEA doesn't have a departmental structure, so I think for the schools, most of the schools, like Kelley, have a departmental structure. So that engagement with the department chair, the discussion at that level, and the discussion with other roles in the department, and you know, there's quite a bit of variance, surprisingly, across units on the campus in terms of the annual review and feedback to post-tenure promoted faculty, right? In a lot of cases, the feedback is, what did you get for your merit raise, right? I mean, some units are much more formal, some are much less formal. And so I think in the case here, in the associate, is you need to be proactive and take control of that, say, I want to sit down annually, I want to talk about where am I, talk to the department chair, I'm not satisfied there, talk to the associate dean, where am I, what areas do you think I need to work on to get from where I am to my case, and then, but as Beth said, at some point you're going to have to own it, and you may just decide, I'm going to give it a shot, and you don't have anything to lose by doing that.
I'll tell you what almost talked me out of it was I asked all of the recently promoted full professors to share their personal statements in their meetings with me. And let me just say they were making very different cases than I did. Okay? So I didn't have a good comparator to the case that I wanted to make. And that gave me some pause. But, you know, I decided it was still a good case, so I went ahead. So, you know, getting help and feedback and advice and comparators gets you so far. But it may not get you all the way. At some point or another, we're all in academia because some of us like to be free agents, right? You know, self-determination is a wonderful gift in the field. So you have an opportunity here to do it.
And I think at the motion to full stage, you've got a different, what's the basis of the case, right? Most of our P&T cases, the vast majority are on research or creative activity. Your promotion to full cases, we start to see a lot more variance. The majority still are research and creative activity, but we do see teaching cases, we do see balance cases, we do see service cases. So you kind of have to think about what's your story, and looking longer term, what story do I think I'm going to be able to make? Where am I going to put my time and my effort? And then engage in those conversations with administrators and colleagues.
Just to put in a plug for the second session, this got brought up then as well, so you might want to go back and listen to that recording. And one thing that I will say about that is that Jean Robinson said, as sort of one of her closing comments, that she felt like a lot of people maybe were waiting longer than they had to. So I don't think she meant that as sort of a universal, everybody should be going up sooner, but she said, you know, you might be ready sooner than you would initially think. So.
And because I, you know, manage the PAC cases for the campus, I will say, and I will say it among friends, especially since it's all women, is I think a lot of our female faculty wait longer than they need to. And, you know, that is, you know, you should really step back and look at what your case is. And that, historical data, there's some evidence. And Jean is right.
One other little thing, just a tiny little trick. I think I got a couple raised eyebrows, so you might check with your department chair about this. But I use, since essentially when you're going up for promotion to full, you're taking a slice out of your career. It's not the full career the way it is when you're going up for the first stage of promotion. So I had to be able to differentiate what I had accomplished as an associate professor from what I had accomplished earlier. And I did that simply by highlighting in yellow on my Vita the things that I accomplished. And it's a little messy when you look at the Vita, but it's also crystal clear where my record is and how that record compares to what I'd accomplished earlier. And I did it for actually one particular reason, and that was because since my emphasis was on impact and reputation, there were a few areas where I could say, okay, like, you know, here are my press citations where I've been quoted. Assistant professor, I was getting a quote in the Herald Times. Associate professor, I'm getting a quote in the Wall Street Journal, right? So I could make this qualitative
difference between those. And so it was worth doing. But, you know, it's kind of a formatting thing where you'd want your department, people are going to be voting on this to be on board with that kind of decision.
That's another question. So in terms of editorship, I know different departments in schools will be very different, particularly for new journals, but very important journals. How does the university view that kind of service to the field?
I would say, you know, that is going to be really that's a local decision. So they're going to say, does your department, does your school value that service, right, and why? Because at the campus level, they're not going to, you know, serving on any journal, they're not going to know anything. You're going to get the external reviewers may comment about it, about your service to the field as an editor or associate editor or whatever. So it's, you know, it's going to be it's your department chair, it's your department, it's your school committee saying this is important. She's kind of having impact. She's got a reputation. She's leading a new journal. Now I have seen that, but they make the case for the value of that.
Yeah, so you see the qualitative cases being made there too. Is this the most selective journal in your field, right? Did you create a new editorship kind of role in this journal, right? So, are you the most junior person on a very senior editorial board, right? So even then, you still, I think you want to describe the impact. Don't just list it in the data, really talk about it somewhere.
I think last time they also mentioned that if you have a new interdisciplinary journal, that only you can actually lead, because you can combine these two areas. That's also the case that you should make a mistake.
Were you invited or did you volunteer?
Any other questions, comments?
You know, many years when we deal with
That's a big question.
I'm sorry.
The difference between men and women in terms of how long they wait.
Because that's exactly the question
We see more of our female faculty longer in break than our male faculty. Now, some of there's, you know, good reasons, people have families and so on, but I think Jean Robinson's point is well taken, is that I think some of our female faculty are waiting and they don't need to wait. So,
because I can tell you my very naive understanding of the process is I just sit there and wait till someone, you know, knock on my door saying, oh, you need to submit. And then, of course, I got the information about, no, it should not be sitting there. You need to own it, as you said, right? Then, of course, I started asking around and I received all kinds of information. So that's where my concept is really from.
yeah, I think just sitting down with, you know, people in the process and saying, here's what I've got, you know, what's your reaction to this? What do I need to work on? And you can get multiple, as Beth said, get multiple perspectives on that, you know, because I think that is important.
This seems like a very effective tactic too, because in listening to a lot of people's stories and hearing lots of anecdotes through these conversations, we've learned that there seem to be some pretty big differences between departments, as you've alluded to, but that approach will work in sort of any of those situations, because then someone could sit down and say, oh, well, let me look at this with you, and then you'll sort of know, oh, they weren't aware of some of these things, or they hadn't thought about it. Or they'll say, we'll let you know, or we're keeping an eye on it, and think it. So you'll kind of get a feel in taking that approach for how the leadership in your particular area is. You know, there's really nothing to lose in that particular approach. It's a good information gathering.
So, I mean, if I could be helpful in any way, I know Anne consistently can be helpful in any way possible, off the record, on record, you know, however, just let us know. I'd be happy to share my personal statements in the social sciences, but I'd be happy to share it if it would be useful. I'd be happy to perhaps anything.
Thank you both very much for your time today and for your coming and sharing.
Thanks for coming.
I paid Beth to compliment us on each. That $20 is in the mail.
$20 is in the mail. Is it a Bitcoin or real
Yeah.
$20?